Tonight is all about unpopular sewing opinions. Anything from sewing itself to sewing patterns to designers to influencers to pretty much anything to the sewing industry to fabric shops. If you have an unpopular opinion or a hot take, I want to hear it. This is going to be a very viewer-centric show, so welcome. If this is your first time here, I'm Jen with Sewing Report Live. We do a show live every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And I wanted to get into this because I feel like this could be a fun and kind of snarky show. So we're going to go there and we're going to be sharing all of our, spilling the tea, all of our unpopular opinions, no matter what they are. Before we get started, I just have a quick, few ground rules about the stream, particularly in the chat or if you're in the replay crew. Just when you're leaving comments and chats, let's just be kind, respectful, civil, and no politics. We don't do that here, and that's pretty much the rules. And also no self-promotion or links, that type of thing. But if this is your first time here, welcome. So, all right. And I got to give a shout out as usual to today's live stream sponsor, the Sewing Report Etsy shop, where you can find fabric, sewing supplies, and handmade items. I am currently running a sale on fabric bundles, most fabric bundles, so check them out. And lots of items. We got sewing notions, we got sew tights, a thread, marking tools, scissors, some trim, stuff for bag making. So check it out. Shopping the Sewing Report Etsy shop helps support independent media and the work I do here at the Sewing Report and Sewing Report Live. So always a good time. So how's everybody doing? It's a Sunday. And man, I don't know about you, but this has been kind of a rough day so far. So when I first got up, our espresso machine died on me as I was trying to make coffee. And I was panicking. I was devastated because I live on caffeine. So I made it by through some instant coffee. I've ordered a new espresso machine, but that was probably one of the worst things that can happen to me personally because I drink so much coffee. So that was really not fun to wake up to. So that was interesting. We'll also be doing K-Drama Corner a little bit later on because I am watching another K-drama, so we'll get into that. I hope everyone's well. Yeah, this is a low-key day, guys. This is a low-key day because, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Welcome. Hello, Lisa, in the house, as usual. We've got Lyra Stitchery. Welcome, cooking dinner while I watch your live. Ooh, shepherd's pie. That sounds delicious. All right, I'm coming over to your house. Lyra. So, fun times. So we'll kind of give a few minutes for people to kind of flow in here. If you are here, welcome. And again, this is just a fun, casual show. So if you have any questions or comments about YouTube videos or anything else, anything goes here. Anything goes. Okay, good question. Are you watching Marry My Husband? I've seen it. It's awesome. I highly recommend. I would probably give that show a 9 out of 10, which is high for me. So it is on Amazon Prime. Great show. Sort of a good, revenge story. If you liked the Count of Monte Cristo movie, you would probably really enjoy Marry My Husband. I loved it. So I watched that a while ago. I'm currently watching a different one, but Marry My Husband, I would give it 2 thumbs up and probably a 9 out of 10. It's great. Great stuff. All right, we've got Pikawawa here from Twitch. Welcome. Hello. We actually have a Twitch viewer. I'm shocked. I usually multi-stream to Twitch, but don't usually have a lot of viewers over there. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something. Maybe I'm not Twitch ready. I don't know. But welcome. I got Sandy. Jen, my combo embroidery machine, sewing machine won't work. No power or nothing. I feel your pain. Yeah. Sometimes things just die. Household appliances or things we own sometimes just don't make it. And, to be fair, we've had the espresso machine for about 7 or 8 years. So it's had a good lifespan. It was only $80 and I feel like we got our money's worth. So, I mean, I'm not going to be mad about it. You know what I mean? Because 8 years for an appliance we use every day is pretty good. So, okay, your daughter Marry My Husband was an here, I'll bring it up. Excellent. Oh, and here is the, here, I'll show you guys. This is the espresso machine I purchased a couple hours ago. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. And tomorrow, it says 10 p.m. I really freaking hope it comes sooner than that. So, we'll give this a shot. This is sort of like the new version of the espresso machine we had. It was by DeLonghi. So, I mean, hey. Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. So this is what I ordered. I wish there was a quicker delivery option, but there was not. And I drink at least 3 cups of espresso a day. Like, I just call it coffee. Like, I kind of make it more into a cup of coffee. So, okay. Ooh, okay, so you're a streamer. Okay, awesome. Welcome. I was trying to find sewing streams. Well, here's the thing. So here at Sewing Report Live, this is more of like a community. We focus on like sewing news, what's going on in the community. I have a channel called the Just Sewing Report, and that is more of like a nuts and bolts, just sewing, just sewing, straight up sewing, crafting, embroidery stuff. I had to kind of separate the live streams just because they were 2 different audiences, but this is sewing related. This is just more of like a what's going on in the community type of stuff, but it's a fun time. We have a fun time. So if your friend likes sewing, she might enjoy this show, but she can also check out Sewing Report Live if she wants to get like just straight up sewing videos. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys Marry My Husband. That's a good, what a good show. And so here's the thing. Pikawawa, it's not really it's not quite what you would think. So, Marry My Husband. So, here, I'll kind of bring this up. Her husband basically turns out to be a really bad guy. So, the term Marry My Husband is because she wants someone else to marry that guy because she doesn't want to marry him because he turns out to be total trash, which is always a fun time. So, Marry My Husband. So, it says, the character, also, this is Korean show, so put on the subtitles, and, the name. Her name is Kang Ji-won. She's a terminally ill cancer patient, and she's killed by her husband and her best friend, who turns out to be a total backstabber, after she witnesses them having an affair. She wakes up 10 years before the incident and decides to seek revenge with the help of Yoo Ji-hyuk, a director at the company where she works. Now she must reclaim her fate and eliminate the trash from her life. So she finds out that her husband is just a garbage person because he and her friend ends up murdering her, which is never fun. And then, as she's dying, she wakes up 10 years in the past with the current knowledge, which is a really interesting premise for a show. So she wakes up 10 years in the past, and she and her husband met at work. So, and at the time, if she goes 10 years in the past, she's not married yet. So because she knows that her husband's going to murder her, she is trying to get away from him. She's like, okay, I don't want to repeat this crap, And the friend, the quote-unquote friend, also works at the same company. So the whole premise of the show is that she's basically trying to undermine the characters that she knows are going to be betraying her in the future. And then, of course, she ends up with the new love interest that's a different guy. It's a really fun show. Again, it does have some, I would say it's like a dark, kind of like a darker drama, but there are some humorous moments in there. So I would highly recommend it. I would give it a 9. I would give it a 9 out of 10 easily. It's a great show. A great show. All right, we're going to turn the music off here. We'll chill on the music for a little bit. So, yeah, I would highly recommend the show. It's really, really good stuff. Yeah, so here's the thing. You don't want to marry your boyfriend if he ends up being like the husband in the show, you know. But if he's a decent guy, then that would be okay. All right, yeah, the espresso machine, we'll see how it got good reviews. It has thousands of reviews, and it was only $85. So I figure you can't really go wrong. Yeah, there are some trash guys. Like the guy in this show is like, that the bad guy is, here's the thing, he's evil, but like he's not even that good at being evil. He's just a bad guy. All right. Hi, chat friends. Hello, making new dreams come true. Okay, so we got our first unpopular opinion from Lisa. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, this is a good one here. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, I like this. Okay. So Lisa says, so here's an opinion that may not be too popular with the sewing community. I often wonder if garment sewing YouTubers really wear all the clothes they make for their channel. This is actually kind of something I was going to bring up as well. So I think Lisa brings up a really great point. Sometimes when you see sewing influencers or sewing YouTubers, you see them make so many items and you kind of wonder, okay, you wonder how practical the item is. Also, sometimes, like, I'll be real, I feel like sometimes the people I see stuff making things for social media, it comes across like with very fast fashion vibes. Like they churn out these garments so quickly, you kind of wonder about the quality of them. Like in terms of not just the fabric, but in terms of the longevity of the item, because they're not like, this isn't really slow sewing. It's like fast fashion sewing. And I'll be real, some of the items, like they'll make like items that aren't very practical for every day. So it's like, I think it's cool that people are making things, but also if you only wear the item once, or it's a very like niche item, like you're making a ball gown or something, how often are you going to wear a ball gown? And then, so it's like, I would definitely agree with Lisa here. You do have to question some of the people who are making things online, because you're like, and I'll be real too. A lot of the stuff I've made, some of my garments, I don't end up wearing. Like, it's like I thought it would be a fun thing to make, or like just the fabric I pick ended up not being right. So I would like to see more transparency in this area in terms of sewing influencers sharing like the reality of their makes. Like, did they actually wear the makes? Like, is this something? And that's another thing I would like to see is sewing influencers making more practical garments. Instead of like, hey, I upcycled this thing from Goodwill into, a cute dress that looks good for social media. But how often are you really wearing that thing in your everyday life? Like, I wear sweatpants and t-shirts most of the time. So if I'm actually sewing for practicality, I'm going to be making sweatpants or like loungewear and not necessarily high fashion items or like couture type items. So I think Lisa brings up a really good point, because I wonder the same thing. It's like you don't really want to call them out publicly, but you're like, yeah, I don't know. So I think that's a really good point. Yeah. Okay. Oh, here's a good comment. A closet historian states that she makes clothes for the life she wants, not the life she has. So she has admitted that she doesn't wear everything she makes. And that's the thing, like, if you're, like, part of the reason a lot of us sew is to make sure we're making, like, responsible fashion or sustainable fashion. And is it really sustainable if you're constantly making items that you don't really end up wearing or using and don't have a purpose? And I think that's part of the problem with social media, is that you're incentivized, and you kind of have to end up, if you want to like grow your accounts and grow your social media following, you have to constantly be showing off things you're making online. And that kind of I do think that encourages kind of a fast fashion mentality in regards to sewing. So that's a really good. Oh, okay, Lyra. Okay, Lyra. Okay, Lyra. Thank you, Lyra. Okay, there we go. The topic is kismet. First, I don't mean any harm, but some YouTubers who sew garments do a poor job for one reason or another. I've done 2 comments about the things that could be improved. Yeah, and that's the thing with, especially when you're seeing sewists on TikTok and Instagram, you see a lot of young people, and you see a lot of people who I would say are like, they're not highly skilled sewing people with a lot of experience. They're people who just started sewing 5 minutes ago, and they're making stuff that, in my opinion, looks good for photos, but is not really going to last in real life. So that's where I kind of throw some side eye at some of the people on social media. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if you're sewing boring garments, like if you're just making sweatshirts and sweatpants, is that going to get you as much attention on social media? Absolutely not. You get attention when you're making like dupes of, red carpet fashions, when you're making like really crazy stuff. But if you're making really crazy or like out there sewing projects, that stuff just doesn't seem practical to me. And again, I think that might be one of the reasons why I'm not like huge online, is because I don't tend to make as much of that kind of stuff, Really good points here. Oh, they deleted. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, here's the thing. I think if you're saying it in like a nice way, I don't think there's any reason to delete the comments. Sometimes though, people can leave comments where they're coming at you and it does seem like it's in bad faith. So I don't know. I think it kind of depends on how the comment comes across. That would be interesting to get the real scoop on what they do with all that stuff. Exactly. Like if they just end up donating their makes to the thrift store or to Goodwill or throwing it out, I would find that a little bit disingenuous, and you have to wonder, I know a lot of influencers in the sewing and quilting niche are doing this as a business. So I get that it's a business expense, but I also don't like the idea of promoting overconsumption or being wasteful either. And that's something that you kind of have to grapple with when you're making content. So, in my opinion, having a large fabric and pattern stash is overrated. I've given away a lot of stuff I fell out of love with. A lot of money out the window. That is another really great point, Denise. And I agree with you. I do think, I see people like flexing their huge ass pattern. They got thousands of patterns. They've got thousands of fabric cuts. And I'm like, why? Like, I just don't. Like, I'm really trying to cut down myself, even though I sell fabric. And that's, I do think there's a fine line between having a curated collection and being like a fabric hoarder and being wasteful. So I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, they make so many dresses. Who really wears that many dresses these days? At least quilt YouTubers can donate their things to charities. Yeah, I feel like I agree. I think there's too many like dresses and special occasion sewing, and it seems very obvious that these people are doing it for the gram, and they're not really doing it because they actually need that item. Like I actually like to make a lot of non-clothing items, like zipper pouches, things I can gift, bags, like other stuff like that. I don't really need a lot of clothing items, so I don't sew tons and tons of garments because I just don't need that many, and I work from home. I don't go to fancy functions or like business stuff, so I don't even need like a lot of stuff. I don't even need a lot of that stuff in my wardrobe, and I don't particularly want to make something if I don't have a real purpose for it. Yeah, exactly. They're not highly skilled, but they try and come off as they are. No pressing on a good group. Yeah. I've seen a lot of, I would say, low, not to call anyone specifically out, but I've seen a lot of what I would say is low quality sewing here. And I do think it's, yeah, you're like, I don't know. Some of the TikTok sewing just really annoys me. Okay, I was nice. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kay. All right, I once made a complete wardrobe over the summer for my new job. No social media back then. Yeah. Okay, here's okay. You have a different take. Tiff says if they have money and time to make it for themselves, who cares? Really, respectfully, it's their stuff, and perhaps they're doing it for practice. You can't just expect someone to know how to do it. Hey, fair enough. I just started garment sewing, and I found plenty of videos with incomplete or missing information. I taught myself how to knit when YouTube showed the thumbs down count. This really helped me to vet videos. I think YouTube getting rid of the thumbs down was like a bad move. I think we should have the thumbs. I think you should be able to see the thumbs down. All right, I have a lot of fabric, admittedly, but now I buy accordingly to what I'm actually going to sew fairly quickly. Plus, with what Joann's being kind of iffy, I love that I have all my patterns and fabrics. And also earlier, I think you were asking about Joann's about what. Let me try to find the comment. Okay, I cannot find it. Okay. Okay, Lisa says, don't get me wrong, I still like to watch their channels, but wow, the fabric stashing is out of control. And here's the thing, you know, this is the unpopular opinion show. So even if you don't, you know, if you think other people are going to have a problem with it, that's what this show is for, is to share our unpopular opinions. And yeah, sometimes I kind of throw a side eye at some of these sewing influencers, especially on Instagram and TikTok, because I do get the vibe at times that, again, they're making it just to make content and not really to make an item because, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a downside with social media, is that you get a lot more consumption in the sewing industry in general, and you just get a lot of people making things for the gram and not because they actually like truly want to make. It's like if they weren't posting on Instagram or TikTok, they wouldn't make the thing. So that's my unpopular opinion. You know, it is what it is, you know. But yeah, that's sometimes what I'm thinking. I'm like, yeah. Would you be still doing this if you weren't making content out of it? And sometimes, you know, like I really do try here, like on the Sewing Report, to make content of things like I'm doing for real, or like I wouldn't typically really buy a sewing machine just for the YouTube. Like, I have to actually kind of be interested in the machine. You know, I bought the Ditto sewing pattern projector. Like, I was actually kind of curious about it. Like, if I wasn't, I wouldn't have purchased it. Again, I do have the benefit of also having a YouTube channel, but, you know, I am curious about the products. That's why I decided to buy it. All right, let's take a look at some of the, okay. Hard to find videos with good quality sewing tech. I would agree. Sometimes I find a lot of the educational content in this space to be either like basic AF or like really not very good quality. Like, I've definitely had some struggles with that myself. You know, and again, on my channel, I really try to express that I'm not an expert. So you're kind of just going along with me on the journey. But sometimes I do find videos and I'm like, this is not helpful at all. Or it'll have like really terrible information. So it is kind of hard sometimes to vet sewing content, and even like things like indie sewing patterns. Like, I've bought some indie sewing patterns that were just not very good, you know. Oh, okay, I like this. Controversial. Featherweight machines are overrated. I have one. I got it for free and it sews fine, but has no power. A lot of upkeep and monopoly market for replacement parts. You know, that's a good point, because I've seen everyone like sing praises up to the high heavens for like the vintage machines or the Singer featherweights. I have a vintage Singer myself, and you know, I'll be honest, it's a really good quality machine. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I don't find it very comfortable to sew on though, so that's why I don't really use it a lot. I actually really prefer my Juki industrial. You know, I don't, just personal preference here, but yeah, I just don't find the vintage Singer, again, it's beautiful, it sews beautifully. I just don't find it as comfortable to sew on for me than I do other machines. I like some of the modern machines, you know, so I do think there are some of the vintage sewing machine snobs out there for sure. You know, and they like turn their nose down at anyone that sews on like a computerized brother or something. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. All right, with basic silhouette patterns, you can create new patterns. Agree. All right, I agree about the good quality sewing techniques because, okay, I think you meant to write more to that. But yeah, I think I get what you're saying here. Yeah, I've seen some really bad sewing garments already have a bad rap. It doesn't help if people don't teach good techniques. You know, and to be fair too, some of the big four sewing patterns really lack in some of the instructions, and I do find they could do a lot more. I also think the big four, I think like all of those patterns, for some of the more popular patterns or even for like basic techniques, I think Simplicity, like the overhead company, should do video content teaching different techniques. Like, hey, here's how you do understitching, or here's how you do this basic technique. So when the instructions say, hey, do this at this step, there should be a corresponding video on their YouTube channel showing how to do that thing. I think that would be super helpful, especially to beginners. All right, I love vintage sewing machines as a decor, and it is nice to have a piece of history. That's actually why I like mine. I just think it's a beautiful machine. I love that it's vintage, and I'm really glad, as someone who does sewing content as a living, I'm really glad that I have that particular piece, even though I don't necessarily use it every day. All right, not everybody understands body anatomy to adjust patterns. I'm really bad with pattern adjustments, guys. Like, that is not my strong suit, is doing anything like that. I'm really bad with changing patterns. All right, that's because they want to cut costs with the amount of paper they include in the envelopes. But, like, seriously, like, even if you do, maybe have like a QR code people can go to where they can find more information, like have a digital thing. But I would love to see the Simplicity, like, mothership provide more video education and resources. I think they could do that. I think that could, like, that would be fairly easy for them to do. And even the sewing machine companies could do more of that too. I would love to see just more of that type of thing for sure. I'm gonna get some water real quick here. But this is, if you are kind of tuning in late, this is the Unpopular Opinions show. So I want to hear your unpopular opinions and hot takes on anything involving sewing, from sewing itself to sewing patterns to sewing influencers to social media to the industry to anything. Unpopular opinions, welcome here. So, Denise, I believe they actually do have some videos on their YouTube channel. I've definitely seen them do stuff like how to calibrate the machine. Again, I still have an open mind. I know, shameful to say, I get an open mind. So that is something that they actually are producing some content with. Like, I have the Brother Sketch, and Brother did put out some videos, but I did not think the videos were very good. I thought they could have made way better videos. All right, I love when content creators show their mistakes. Sewing is a lot of work, and it's normal to make mistakes. We're all human. 100%. I would also love to see not just like it's almost like, I feel like sewing content creators have like curated and edited the content, especially for vertical videos, so much that we don't get to see the real sewing process. It's like they throw a piece of fabric up in the air, and when it comes down, they're wearing the dress. And you see maybe like one shot of them at the sewing machine, but you don't really actually see the making process. I would love to see more in-depth content on the making process versus just like, here it is, guys. Like, that kind of drives me crazy. All right, can we talk about the top of the line sewing machines? No way would I spend $20,000 on a sewing machine, and I love to sew. Yeah, I know that customer is out there. I want to know how many of these machines they sell. I can't ever see myself spending over $5,000 on any machine. Like, I just don't see it happening. Ooh, why can't sewing machine manufacturers make pretty decorative machines, not the boring colors they come in? I love that, Judy. Yeah, like, cool looking machines, or like, make them more interesting looking, or like conversation pieces. Like, I actually do think that's one thing the Brothers Sketch did, is they changed up the design and made it look a little different. I actually do appreciate that about the Brothers Sketch. Again, I've got mixed feelings about it overall, but I do think that's something more of them could do. I think Bernina with their like the K-Facet machines and like the Tula Pink machines, I do think those are kind of cool. But I do think there needs to be some innovation with the basic look of the sewing machine. Like, let's switch it up. Let's make it look way different, maybe do like a sleek black model, like, let's do some different stuff here. All right, Big Four pattern instructions do have some issues. They don't show techniques that give clean finishes. That has been my gripe with some of the patterns I've tried, where the finish, I'm like I end up having to change it myself because I just don't like what they've recommended for that, especially seam finishes. All right, it starts to show through when they are just sewing for the content. I agree. I think it seems... I feel like a lot of people are doing stunt sewing for the gram or for YouTube. They want a viral sewing project, and it's not any, and again, like, it's cool to watch, but it's not anything. It's like, how helpful is it to people who are like just trying to struggle bust through their sewing projects? Like, I would love to see more people get back to the basics. I know that's not as exciting or viral, but I do think that might be more helpful to the community at large, is to do like basic sewing, and I've tried to do that over on my channel, is do like, here's how to do like some basic shit, because that's not something that people on TikTok are really doing. It's like, here's my dress that I made out of 1,000 soda bottles or something. And that's cool and all, but like how, it's like, that's cool, but like you got your viral moment. But as content that's helpful to people, I just don't find that type of thing very helpful, Agree on the featherweight. It's cute and little, but it was a portable, so not intended to be a heavy hitter like the 201 or the 15. And I actually have the Singer 201 too, which... It's hard. I want to make some videos on it, but it's like hard to get to in our spare rooms. That's why I kind of haven't done it. So yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that, Denise. There was a huge controversy cutting up vintage quilts to make clothes, coats, etc. I think it's become more accepted now, though. Yeah, and I know my friend, kind of friend of the show, Mary Fawn, she got a lot of heat for a video where she was not cool with that. And here's the thing, that's her opinion, and people like came after her. And they were like attacking her, and I felt like it was a little bit over the top. Like, it's her opinion, and she can have a strong opinion. But I thought people were getting kind of nasty with her for like no reason, All right, we got... I would rather buy a vintage machine than a new plastic one. I agree that featherweights are overrated. Okay, interesting. When the Big Four re-release a vintage pattern and it is worse than the original, and they have the original pattern. Yes. Like, I got that. You got to throw some shade at that. Like, why not just, you have the original, why are you releasing a slightly crappier version of the original? Yeah. All right, Lisa says, some of my favorite sewing channels are the ones where they show their flops and mistakes, and when they have a win, it's so cool. That's how my garment sewing really goes, so I can relate. I think, I am seeing a shift on YouTube to more, like, relatable content, and more, like not so highly edited Mr. Beast type formats, but like more like, hey, this is what's really going on in my life. And I actually gravitate towards that type of content too. So I really do appreciate that type of stuff. And I don't tend to follow a lot of like the Gen Z sewing TikTok people who are making stuff for content. I don't, it's just not my kind of thing. Maybe I'm too old for that. I don't know. So that might be, yeah, I agree with you there. I'm going to get some water real quick. All right. Susie M. QuiltCon classes are terrible, expensive, overcrowded, rushed, and all on a machine you are not familiar with. That's my one. That's something. I went to one QuiltCon in 2016, and I signed up for a bunch of workshops, and, I thought they were fine. Like, I don't have any, like, huge complaints. But my one, if I could have done things differently, I would have actually not signed up for any workshops and just I would have just taken in the experience and walked around the exhibit hall and met people. I actually wouldn't have done workshops if I could do it over again. I would have just gone there to hang out and like check out the vendors and stuff. I just felt like there was a lot of like with the workshops, you have to like prepare stuff. And like, I felt like there was a lot, like, there was kind of a lot of pressure when you do workshops or when you're doing a class, because you have to like bring stuff, you have to bring your materials. And I think it would have been a much more chill experience for me going to QuiltCon, just getting like a day pass and wandering around. So if you haven't gone to QuiltCon before and you're thinking about it and it's your first time going, I actually wouldn't overload yourself with classes and workshops. I would just go, just go. So good. That's a really good point. All right, my biggest pet peeve is when people want to gatekeep. Oh, it's a special technique, or our supplier is secret. Like, really, we are all in the same game trying the best. Might as well help each other up. That's a good point, too. It's like, yeah, I don't understand. Like, like, if people ask me a question, I'll give them my opinion, you know, or if they want to know, like, about something I did, you know, yeah, nothing's really, yeah, I don't understand. I've gotten that vibe from people too. And also, like, kind of behind the scenes, I've definitely gotten kind of a competitive vibe from other people, you know, like, in the content creation, like, sphere. So I agree. I think sometimes you do get a little bit of that energy, and it is kind of weird. All right, my Rocketeer is gorgeous, and a shiny old black machine is always nice. White plastic is just boring and cheap looking. Fun times. All right, I'm just getting back into sewing, and I'm rusty. I'm looking for good techniques, videos. I like to challenge myself to learn something new or a better way to do something. Why is it so hard to find? Yeah, I agree. Like, you know, it's like you're seeing a lot of people making content in the sewing and crafting niches, like knitting and crocheting. It's like they just started doing it 5 minutes ago, and now they're creating content teaching other people how to do it. I got a side eye. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I do find it a little bit annoying when you find videos on that subject. It's like a how-to video or a tutorial, and it's obvious that the person has no clue what they're doing. Yeah, I agree. I don't like TikTok. It's a platform for stupidity. I'm on TikTok. I don't really like TikTok. I don't even really like Instagram that much. But yeah, it's like a necessary evil if you're a content creator, but I'm not a fan of the platform. I don't like watching TikTok. I don't like looking at TikTok. I really admire, I admire the featherweights, especially the cool colors, but they're so expensive. Yeah, I don't even know how much are they. I honestly don't even know. If given a choice, I would rather go in person to sewing classes. However, finding a location that offers classes is difficult. Since the pandemic, I'm not a beginner. Love to do more clothing. Yeah, are there... I do agree. I think since the pandemic, you're seeing less in-person classes for stuff like this. So I definitely see what you're saying here. I think Vogue asked for old patterns so they could copy them. The rest just did an interpretation and failed a lot of the time. Stephanie Canada did some videos on that subject. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to get some water real quick. If you're late, if you're just joining, just kind of a recap, we are doing an unpopular opinions show. So if you have an unpopular opinion or a hot take about the whole, like basically the whole world of sewing, anything, the industry, influencers, sewing specifically, like sewing techniques, anything, this is the place where you can share and unload your unpopular opinions. That's what this evening is all about. Ooh. Do you think the number of sewists are growing because of all the videos? I have mixed feelings. The more sewists, the better. But I see what you're saying. And I do think that social media, and like especially during the pandemic, there was a heightened interest in sewing. I think my issue with some of the content regarding sewing is that, especially with TikTok and Instagram, I think some of the content creators are kind of making it look a lot easier than it is, or they're not really showing you the whole picture. So I think the concern I have with this is that, you know, someone like a young person may see a bunch of sewing TikToks and be like, oh, that looks like fun. They order a sewing machine, and then they figure out that it's harder than it looks. Their projects are not turning out like the influencers or like the inspo photos. And then they're disappointed and they feel like they got kind of duped into what it is. So I would love more people to join the sewing community. But I also think people should know what they're getting into. You know, like, again, I did a video over on the main channel about the reality of embroidery machines because I was getting so many people reaching out to me and not really understanding what is all involved in embroidery. And I think the same thing is happening with the sewing community, is that people are getting into it and they're really not taking the time or the effort to learn to really learn about sewing. So you're getting a lot of kind of, I would say, like low information sewing people that, you know, and that was actually one of my unpopular opinions I wanted to bring up, is that I am seeing a lot of people kind of enter the space who are demanding a lot of hand holding, and they're not, it's like they expect and feel entitled to people like spoon feeding them every single little thing. They're not even doing basic Googling, and they like they expect other people to like drop everything that they're doing to help them with something that they could find out on their own. And that kind of drives me crazy about what I'm seeing, especially with like the whole TikTok sewing, Instagram sewing, is that I'm seeing more and more of those types of people. Like they're DMing me, they're sending me emails, they're leaving comments, and I'm just like, guys, like this is, you know, it's something that they could find the answer to. And not to be harsh, but if you are that type of person that needs that level of like hand holding, like sewing may not be for you. I'm just being real. If you cannot, you know, if you need someone to like break down every little aspect for you of a project, or like what needle to use or what thread to use, and you can't use basic guides, like I try to create content that helps people with critical thinking and to kind of fill in the dots. That's what a lot of sewing is building. It's a lot of skill building and a lot of like building on the knowledge you have, learning more. And I'm seeing a lot of people wanting to get into sewing, but not being willing to do any of that. And it's like, look, I'm sorry, but if you're not going to even try, then maybe sewing is not for you. Like and I've gotten like DMs from people, and I'm just like, they're ridiculous. Like they're honestly ridiculous. And I don't really want those types of people. Like, honestly, I don't really, like, those types of people probably shouldn't be sewing. Like, if you want like a sewing YouTuber or a sewing influencer to be your like sewing coach, like we just can't do that. And I'm seeing a lot more of those types of people coming in here, or like I don't know why they would think that I would, you know, like I'll get like someone sending me like a whole novel of like, I'm trying to do this project, I need help with all of these things. And I'm like, look, I try to give people general information, but it's so that they can connect the dots and kind of fill in the puzzle. And that's part of becoming a better sewist. That's part of getting into sewing in general, is being able to take information and put things together and like kind of workshop things. So, you know, again, that's my unpopular opinion, is I'm seeing a lot of these people come in and make all of these demands and feel entitled to someone else's time and energy when they're not even willing to put in the time and energy themselves. So just sort of a rant I have. Okay. Ooh, all right. I actually think that Craftsy is a pretty good resource for sewing education. Here's the thing. A lot of the Craftsy classes are great, like especially the older ones that are on the platform. I actually still have the classes I purchased. The problem I have with Craftsy now is the current business model and the sort of like scammy type like subscription thing. I don't like it. So, but I do actually, it's sad because a lot of the content, like the OG content in Craftsy, was really great. There we go. Okay, if you're looking for a technique teacher, I like Catherine So's, So Anastasia, and Evelyn Wood. I know Evelyn is definitely going through a tough time right now. All right, I also find that if you just start sewing and you claim to know and teach, it breaks my heart sewing newbies follow this type of teachers. Sad, no fundamentals are taught. Exactly. If you just started sewing 5 minutes ago, please don't start doing teaching or pattern designing. I'm seeing a lot of that. Someone literally just started sewing or knitting or crocheting or doing anything like a month ago, and all of a sudden they're selling courses on how to do it. They're making how-to videos and trying to teach other people. They're trying to like get into the teaching circuit, and they're selling patterns. Like, I'm sorry, I'm seeing a lot of that's another thing that is annoying to me, is I'm seeing a lot of people trying to break into the indie pattern designer space when honestly they don't have any business selling patterns. Like their ship patterns, sorry, not sorry. Their ship patterns, there was no instructions. They didn't have any technical editing. And I'm seeing a lot of, again, not anyone can do anything they want, but it drives me crazy to see people who literally just started doing this thing like a month ago. And all of a sudden, they're an influencer. They're teaching people how to do it, and they're selling patterns. Like, come on, guys. Come on. The featherweights and the cool colors are usually redone by car-type painters. That's why they run 2K and up. It takes forever to do that properly. That's fair, especially when, like, the powder coating, that is very, like, specialized. I would love to do a class and found some, but they were happening during regular working hours. Can we have one in the evenings when I'm off? That's something I've noticed too, is that a lot of the in-person sewing and like quilting type stuff is like, it's like at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Occasionally you'll find one on the weekend, but yeah, there's not a lot of like after hours stuff. That's true. Oh, Temu. People love and hate. I'll go as far as ordering from Amazon, but I pay attention to seller. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same here. I'm pretty much the same. Oh, here we go. There's a lot more to sewing than cutting a pattern and sewing it. There's fabric considerations and fitting issues. Yeah. And yeah, I see a lot of like stuff on social media where I'm like again, I'm not going to say anything to the person, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of, I think with all of this like short form retention editing, vertical video stuff, TikTok and Instagram Reels, I do think we're seeing a lot of like kind of low quality, like low effort, fast fashion sewing. And again, people can do what they want, but I don't have to watch the content, and I really don't. I don't really follow those types of people. And I would not like promote that type of thing. That's just not really my thing. Again, I don't have a huge following on TikTok and Instagram. I think partly it's because I'm not making like that type of like content, and that's fine with me. Oh, I like this. Clap. Applause for Susie. When people make traditional quilting patterns and try to sell it like they invented the wheel, very few traditional quilting patterns are original. Yeah. And can we please talk about all of the petty drama among pattern designers? It seems like every week there is a new controversy where one pattern designer accuses another one of like copying each other. And then when you look at like the thing that they're talking about, it's like a zipper pouch or like something basic as frick, and you're like, it's like the person accusing the other person of copying, like that thing's not really a very innovative design. And I don't know. I just feel like some of them are doing it for attention. And legally, there's really not much you can do about it. It's like, it's very possible for two designers or even two makers to have the same idea and execute it. Like, thinking that you like own a concept is stupid. Like, I own like, paper piecing, or I own this particular technique for doing like pants or something. Very few things are like original, and I'm seeing a lot of that, and I don't get into the drama. I don't like getting myself involved, but just from the peanut gallery, I just think that's ridiculous. And it's like, why not just have both of you be able to sell your thing? And if someone likes that pattern designer, they'll buy their thing. If someone likes the other one, they'll buy their thing. But I'm kind of tired of designers like calling each other out and being like, oh my gosh, they copied me. When you don't really know they copied you. And really the only legally enforceable thing from a copyright standpoint is if somebody else copied your exact pattern materials. But honestly, legally, if someone just copied the concept but made their own materials, there's not much you can do about it. The other thing my popular opinion is when you see pattern designers, like the indie pattern designers, and they're going way over the top with policing how you can use the pattern. Like, I was seeing a post on Craftsnark on Reddit, and they were pointing out this one particular pattern designer. I'm not going to say who it is. But the level of control this designer wanted over a pattern was ridiculous. It was kind of a basic pattern too that I've seen very similar things around everywhere. So it wasn't like that special of a thing. All right, so here's what they want. They wanted to limit, like, sometimes pattern designers will like limit how much, like they'll say like, yes, you can make and sell these on a small scale, or no, you can't make and sell these things. I think it's fair to ask like not to mass produce a pattern, like, you know, be made in like a sewing factory or something, or a sweatshop. But this pattern designer was like, you can only make 100 of these, you know, per pattern. And I'm like, for more, reach out. And then it was also, they also had very specific things. Like if you shared anything you made, if you shared your make on social media or online, they had all of these requirements. Like you have to link to my website, and you have to refer to the pattern in this specific way. And you have to do this, this, and this. I'm like, bitch, get out. Like, you can't possibly do that. Like, I was just like, this is next level crazy. And they also had, like, some other stuff, like, again, it was, like, no teaching at workshops, which I understand. But, like, they probably would also have an issue, like, if someone made a YouTube video showing them making the pattern. Like, they just, it was, like, the level of control and micromanaging they wanted over someone purchasing their pattern was like crazy. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I've kind of seen this too with, the other thing is that like with, it would have been different if they worded it like, hey, if you share this on social media, I would love if you could tag me and, you know, use my hashtag. I think it's fine to ask, but for you to demand that, like, and have that be in your terms and conditions, like as a customer, that would put me off altogether to buying the pattern. I was just like, I saw it and I was like, really? To me, it was sort of like, I would compare it to the Airbnb hosts that have like a laundry list of tasks and like chores that they leave for paying guests. I'm like, all right, you're charging people. This is like a hotel, but you have you have a big list of to-do things that you want these people to do when they're paying you to stay at the property. Like, at that point, I would just check out and go to a hotel. Like, that's the thing. At that point, I would just piece out of that indie pattern designer and buy, like, a McCall's pattern. Like, the level of, like, I'm like, what level of ego do you have to have? And, like, it's like they think they're, like, on a God tier thing. And I'm, like, playing. And I'm, like, this is ridiculous. So that's a big turn off for me, is when pattern designers just have all of these like caveats to when you buy the pattern. And like, that's the thing. I would bet you $100 if I bought that person's pattern and I made I didn't show like a how-to, but if I just made a video about making the pattern, but I didn't show like, you know, like I didn't like show like the actual pattern materials, and I was careful not to like give it all away, the person probably would have an issue with it, because I like didn't ask that. This is the type of person, they would probably send me a nasty email about how I didn't ask permission to make a video about me making a pattern I purchased from them. And that's honestly one thing, like behind the scenes here as a content creator, I'm almost kind of hesitant sometimes to have videos about me making patterns, like certain patterns, because I feel like there are people like that out there that would take issue with me promoting them in a video showing me making the pattern that I purchased. And that's the thing, I'm very careful. Like if I'm making a pattern, a paid pattern, I'll be very careful to not show the instructions. I won't really show the pattern pieces, you know, because I don't want people like ripping off their pattern, but at the same time, it's like, it gets to a level where I think is kind of like ridiculous. So I don't know. That's my hot take on that. Okay. I don't think I really know a lot about that person, but hey, that is a hot take here. That is a hot take here. Okay. Something that makes me sad more than irritated is the number of people who think they must buy expensive machines like Cricuts and sewing machines to make money that their family dearly needs. I agree. And it kind of annoys me to see a lot of people pushing super expensive machines, or like, especially like influencers that got them for free because they're like an ambassador. Again, I don't want to normalize everyone having a $5,000 machine. That's why I really try to highlight $200 machines, $100 machines, like kind of, inexpensive machines here. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, here we go. We have a brother ambassador. As a brother ambassador, I do all I can to help, especially with hard to find answers. I actually take joy in the fact that my following friends look to me advice. So I appreciate you weighing in here. Sewing is hard to learn, even though our ancestors learned as children. I was taught by my grandmother when she gave me a rag doll and patterns cut from newspaper. I guess that's how she learned. Like you were saying, home ec sewing classes in school to learn the basics, or learning from your mom. I think people may be looking for the basics, and I don't know where to find it. Yeah. All right, depending on the project, along with relying on this guide sheet, I do quite a lot of research about the garment techniques, fabrics for linings, etc. It helps a lot. Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way. I don't just like willy-nilly start a project. I'm like, okay, I gotta try to kind of plan it out. And if I'm spending a lot of time making a garment, I don't want to just use whatever fabric, and waste fabric that way. I want to like make sure it's like the right fabric for the right project, and I've made mistakes in the past, I loved quick sew patterns, had lots of great tips. They were purchased by one of the big four and then discontinued. Not sure what the story was. Ooh. I hate videos where it's just music and no talking. I refuse to watch those. I've seen a lot of those. So here's the thing. I don't mind if there's like music for some parts. And I do this to my videos. Like if I'm showing like a sped up version, and there's no talking. But there should have I feel like there should be like some instruction. I also think sometimes the people who do this, they don't want there to be a language barrier. So they might have like subtitles or like, just kind of captions. But they want people, I kind of get it because they want people to be able to watch in other languages. Yeah, like, that is a hidden 9-patch block you did not invent. I'm seeing a lot of people who think they invented, like, certain things. And I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Quality sewing does not involve a speedy completion. All right, there we go. Why do people pay so much for those featherweights? All right, we're getting a lot of really good unpopular opinions here. And that's what this show is all about. Unpopular opinions, hot takes about things within the sewing realm. Patterns are a pet peeve, just getting back to sewing, but consider myself a skilled knitter. I can't stand the number of poorly written patterns. Mistakes all over the place is learn to write a pattern. Yeah. What drives me crazy is monthly box openings they get for free, brag about how good things are, they get them for free, yet ask you to buy item using their link for a box $50 to $90. No thanks. Yeah, and honestly, I used to, when I was starting out, I would accept like the subscription box things. I don't do those anymore. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't want to do those anymore. And I was just getting like too many of those. So I kind of stopped, promoting those types of things. If you don't want people copying your ideas, why are you on social media? I know, right? And the thing, it seems like there's like a new one literally every week. I can't even keep up with all of the like copying scandals. And I look at it and I'm like, and also like sometimes I'll see like the two items, like the one that someone's claiming they're copying, and they don't even look that similar. Like, I don't even know why they're making it like a big thing, Like, just let other people have their thing. You have their thing. Let's be real. A lot of pattern sales is about marketing anyway. So if your marketing is good and you have a good, like a good brand, you're going to sell patterns. Like, I don't know why you're so threatened by someone who has even a vaguely similar pattern. I think that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah, I would agree. Don't think there's enough money to be made for pattern designers. That's why they are so petty. I think there's at this point, I think there are too many indie pattern designers. And yeah, I would say that's one reason why I'm really glad that this Backstitch app has come into existence, because I think people being able to see like honest reviews about indie patterns is a net positive for the community. I've seen some bad ones. I've seen some great ones. I think part of the problem is that because anybody can put out a pattern, there's not a lot of consistency with the quality, with the instructions. Like, you know, are they testing these patterns? Are they even using like a technical editor or like a professional grader, especially with clothing sizes? So, yeah, I think you got a point there. I know some, if you buy a pattern for a gift, you need to give the name of the person you will like, why? Like, I just want to, like, if they bought it for somebody, why? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, do you really need to keep track of everyone who's bought your pattern? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I believe if one is to criticize or critique one's creation, one ought to be able to articulate or help guide the person into the correct way. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about sewing teachers, professionals that have pattern lines. Some are really good, some not so much. I have no idea why they pay that much for the redone FWs. Oh, featherweights. They don't sew any better. They're just for bragging rights. So is it just sort of like a flex? You think like, hey, I got my featherweight that I got powder coated in like pastel pink or something? Is that what it is? Exactly. That would make me not want to use the pattern. When I see someone with like all of the, like with like a novel full of restrictions on how I can use this thing, that to me is a turnoff. And when I also see, here's the thing, like a lot of indie pattern designers would love for somebody like me to like promote the pattern on my YouTube channel. But when I see people with that vibe, I am very deterred from even sharing about the pattern online anywhere, because I feel like those are the type of people who would also try to police content creators into how I create content about their pattern that I purchased. You know, like they'll be like, you didn't refer to it in a certain way, like blah, blah, blah. And if I get that vibe from a pattern designer, I'm just never going to mention or talk about the pattern ever on my platforms if I think that they've got that sort of like, you know, thing going on. Because I just think that, you know, I don't want someone over my shoulder telling me how to create content. And yeah, if I see like you have to use this specific verbiage, if you mention my pattern anywhere, I'm like, peace out. I'm just not dealing with that. I'm going to promote another thing. I'll promote another pattern that I don't have to have that sort of headache. So, you know, if you are an indie pattern designer and you do want someone like me who has a fairly decent YouTube channel to talk about your pattern or make your pattern, you know, like don't be a pain in the ass. That's what I'm saying. Like, and some people I've dealt with are a pain in the butt and I just don't want to deal with it. So, yeah. I am a big proponent of complying with copyright law, but sewing is all about sharing. Cast your bread on the water and it will come back to you. And here's the thing with the copyright is that you can copyright the specific pattern, like material, so people can't just like photocopy it and share it, but you can't really copyright the design itself. Like, that's the thing. And I feel like a lot of these pattern designers think they have some sort of legal protection, and they really don't. Like, a lot of these things that they're saying aren't even legally enforceable. Just saying here. With the indie pattern companies, it's nice when you find one where their block is close to your fit. Yeah, it is nice. If someone has like a similar body type or similar struggles you do, it is kind of nice because then you don't have to do as many pattern adjustments and things might fit you a little bit better. And again, that's one reason why I'm kind of excited about this backstitch thing, is because I think you'll be able to see other sewists make notes about what worked for them or what kind of body type they have. And I think that would be a helpful resource for everyone, is to be able to kind of be like, oh, hey, this pattern company is probably good for somebody like me, you know, or this one may not work for me. I think it's all about, you know, getting as much information and knowledge out there as possible, you know, and I think that's a really good thing. And I think that's like a net positive for the community. So I agree. All right, this is a hot show tonight. We got a lot of really good popular opinion. You guys are coming in with the You guys are really coming through here. All right, let's take a look at some of these. Okay. All right, anyone who knows how to draft patterns will be able to make the pattern from just a picture. Yep. All right, honestly, you need straight and zigzag stitch. The rest is learning curve. Yeah, I don't use a lot. I find the sewing machines with like, it's like the more expensive the machine, the more stitches you'll get. And I just find I don't really use them. And that's something I learned the hard way. I have a machine that I paid $2,500 for that I'd never use. And, you know, it's kind of unfortunate because I think some people can waste money by overbuying sewing machines for sure. All right, let's see here. You can get a vintage tank for less than $100. Usually the Singer 401A and 500A are great machines that have a lot of useful stitches. Oh, this is, okay. When content creators don't know the correct terminology definitions, but claim to be experts. And you know, Rebecca, you brought up a good point because sometimes when I'm doing like how-to videos or showing how to do something, I will really go out of my way to try to make sure that I'm using the correct terminology, or that I went straight out of the sewing machine manual if I'm showing parts on the machine, because that's the thing. If you're wrong, people will call you out. So if you are, and I also try to put a caveat too that, again, I'm not an expert. This is just for fun. And I really don't try to claim but yeah, I see people trying to claim they're a sewing expert to be like, you know, come learn from me, you know, and it's like, but it's like, what are your credentials? You know, what are your credentials? So that's a good point. Yeah, I've seen some of that too. Maybe I'm just slow, but let's get real. Sewing to time consuming. I've seen for 30 plus years. Oh, sewn for 30 plus years, and it still takes a lot of effort. Yeah. That's the thing. Sewing is not what you see on TikTok or Instagram, and that's why I have kind of a problem with that type of content. Is I think it's really giving people a very construed idea of what sewing is, how long it takes, and I just don't feel like it's very relatable content or realistic content. All right, I've always thought monthly sewing and craft subscriptions were a ripoff. When people copy your ideas, that is a compliment and you shouldn't be mad. Okay, oh, these are some... I'm bothered by the FOMO whipped up by the influencers. I don't need the stress. You know, yeah. So FOMO is fear of missing out. And it's like when you see someone with like the latest sewing gadget and you're like, should I get that or not? Or the latest fabric, and you feel like you also need to purchase it to like keep up, or you're like... And I think sometimes that's why it's good to unplug from social media, is to not get too bogged down into what other people are doing. And I also find it can be kind of I think social media can be kind of distracting, from sewing. So I think it can be a good and a bad thing. I almost got a subscription for a quilt box, but half the box was snacks. Like, I'm not paying a boatload of money for snacks. Yeah, I agree. Newbies and those on a budget should check out alternative sources for sewing supplies, machines, fabric, patterns, notions. All can be found at thrift stores, and share swap places may need to search. Yeah, you can definitely get a lot of sewing supplies on the cheap if you kind of look around, for sure. Like the quilt patterns, there are only so many ways to design pants, button-up shirt, etc. Yeah, exactly. Like, why does every pattern designer think they reinvented the wheel? You didn't. It's the same shit. You just, it's like, you're making a cute fabric, whatever, cool. But like, yeah, it's like, don't accuse other people of copying you. You're like basic AF shirt pattern. And I'm like, how? Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of those, and I've seen a lot of it in like quilting and crocheting. I'm just not giving it any energy, I'm like, wow. Yeah, exactly. In the fashion industry, knockoffs it's like just part of what you deal with, But I'm so tired of seeing pattern designers like melting down in it and like crying on Instagram because claiming somebody copied them. When you look at the other thing and you're like, that's not even similar. And two, even if it was, like, it's okay for there to be two similar patterns out there. Some of the copying allegations, I think it's like getting kind of old, and it's like the boy who cried wolf. I'm like, really? I don't know. So I'm kind of over that. That's not something I'm going to be sharing or really highlighting here because I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm kind of not into that. All right. Welcome, Vanessa. Hello. I'm glad to be catching your live. Welcome. And if you are kind of just, tuning in and getting late to the party, this is a show for your unpopular opinions and hot takes all about sewing. Could be anything from sewing itself, sewing machines, sewing influencers, social media, anything, pretty much anything. All right, let's see here. Oh, here we go. I got my Bernina 730E on Craigslist for $450. That's a great deal. I didn't think I'd use the embroidery unit, but it has been a fun bonus, and I saved money using it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so I don't like how some tubers make it seem like you are missing the boat if you don't buy fabrics from certain fabric sellers, like Minerva. Their fabric is so expensive, beautiful, but really... So, fun fact, Lisa, Minerva hit me up like years ago to be like part of their blogger network, and I was like, look, guys, I'm probably not really gonna do this. They're like, oh, whatever, you can just, sign up. You don't, no pressure to do anything. So what they were gonna do is, like, they would send you like a list of the fabrics they had, and you could request fabrics, and in exchange, you would have to like tell them what pattern you were making, and you would have to do like a blog post for them in exchange for free fabric. Like, I think if you're just starting out, like, fine, and you just want the free fabric, but I just, I didn't find it to be worthwhile for me personally. So I never actually ended up, I was on the email list for a long time, and then they kind of switched. Now it's like they changed like their affiliate network or ambassadorship thing. But like, I just didn't find it was a good deal for me to like do a blog post for them with all these high quality photos, make a project all in exchange for free fabric. I was like, GTFO, I'm just going to buy the fabric myself and be able to do what I want with it without having to make... It's like they were... This kind of annoys me about companies in this space is that they will do this, like, create content for us, and in exchange, we'll give you some free fabric or free pattern. I'm like, like, if you're doing it as a hobby, fine, and you want to do that, but if you're doing content creation as a job, I think this is a pretty bad deal for influencers. You have to make a whole project, sew a whole project for some free fabric. I'll just pay the $50 for the fabric, and not have to worry about, if I'm making content, I want to make content for myself. If I'm making content for your brand, you got to pay me more than free fabric. So, yeah, I don't know. I was like, I have not bought anything from Minerva, and I was a little bit put off by their whole like business arrangement. I didn't really like it. Yeah, I didn't really like it. I have gone from FOMO to JOMO, joy of missing out. I love that. That's a really good, yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. I respectfully disagree. I like all the short videos. They inspire people to get started. Maybe more people are starting to sew because of them. Hey, you know what? Fair enough. I guess and here's the thing. I think social media, especially platforms like TikTok and Instagram, I think they're a double-edged sword. I think there are some positives and there are some negatives for sure. I'm glad there are people interested in sewing. It just annoys me that I'm seeing a lot of people getting quote-unquote interested in sewing, but they're not at all interested or willing to do any of the very basic things that it takes to like actually get into sewing and start sewing. So that's my gripe. Let's see here. The YouTubers who push expensive fabric lines are usually compensated. So here's the thing. I am an influencer and content creator. So I will purposely seek out content that is not sponsored and that doesn't have anything gifted. Again, hot take. This is the show for unpopular opinions, guys. Again, a lot of people don't have a problem with that. When I see content that's sponsored or like where someone got the thing for free and they're reviewing it, I take it with a grain of salt. My guard's up, and I will not necessarily trust that content. So one of my hot takes, unpopular opinions, is that I would like to see brand deals and sponsored content in this space. Get away from integrated videos. For instance, like if I got the Brothers Sketch for free and it was a sponsored video, my videos would be all about the Brothers Sketch. I would like to see companies get more into ad reads within the content, like podcast style. So like there's the content and then the creator takes a quick break and does an ad read for the sponsor. To me, as a viewer and consumer of content, there's a clear separation between the content and the sponsor. Again, I have no issues with content creators getting paid for their work and getting brand deals and getting sponsorships. The thing that kind of puts me on pause about it is where I think we're muddying the waters too much between the content and the sponsorship so that viewers are confused about like what the content is and what the sponsorship is. So I would love to see more brands saying, like if they, like that's what the deal I got with So Tights. And that's why I did a couple sponsored videos with them is that, hey, I went to them, I said, hey, I like your products. I would love for you guys to be a sponsor. Would you be cool? Like, again, the So Tights will have nothing to do with the content in the video, but I will basically do like a quick ad read for the company, but it won't be part of the content. And that's what I would love to see more. I think that's a very transparent way of disclosing the sponsorship. And I think for the viewers, there's no confusion as to like how much that content creator was, influenced or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know the content is really the content, and then I know the ad is really the ad. I would love to see more of that kind of thing. Kind of like just, hey, this, when you see like the Super Bowl and they're like, hey, the Super Bowl is sponsored by Pepsi. We totally get that the Super Bowl needs to have advertisers, but if the Super Bowl was like sponsored by Pepsi, and then, the content was, but that's the thing. It's like the content is not about Pepsi. So I would love to see more of a shift in the influencer and content creation space of more of a normalization of ad reads versus integrated videos. Like if I was doing, okay, so I have an iPhone. If I was doing a review on the iPhone and it was sponsored by Apple, like how much would you trust my review? I also do not like, I personally don't like I don't like sponsored reviews or paid reviews. I think there's another way you can present that brand or showcase the brand. But in my opinion, I don't think a review is truly a review if the brand had input in any way into the content or had discussions with the influencer or the content creator. Because in a real life scenario, if I'm doing a review on the iPhone, I'm not talking to the people at Apple about my content. You know what I'm saying? So again, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I would just like to see more of a shift into more transparent and authentic content. Again, I think content can still be sponsored, but I would like to see more of a very clear separation between what's the content and then what is the sponsorship. All right. Ooh, I don't really like newer Singer sewing machines. I think a lot of people have that opinion here. I don't like any newer sewing machines. I have a cover stitch and the sound it makes grates on my last nerve. Oh, thank you, Mia. Love your channel because you are real and honest. And that's the thing. I have like a pretty clear policy. I wanted all of you to know what my ethical guidelines are here on the channel so that you know my deal. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to see me do a review on the Brother Skitch that I got for free and have, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't do that type of thing. So, just not my jam. All right, let me get some water here. All right, sewists who look down on others, on those who sew for cosplay and LARPers. I've been sewing for 30 years. The majority of it for LARPers. It's super creative fun. I'm a big fan of the cosplay community. I'm not really in it, but I'm really blown away by all of the work that's done. The creativity. Like, when I look at friend of the channel, Cowbutt Crunchy's cosplay, the level of just, like, their skill level and their creativity is off the charts. Like, they're like, hey, we want to make this thing, and they have to figure out, like, how to get there. Like, it's so cool. So, I'm a fan. Sorry, I gotta cough real quick. I'm gonna mute myself. Alright, yeah, once you get the blueprint, a pattern from a garment, a bag, a pillow, you just build from there. Love your honesty. Exactly, like, you don't really need a pattern to make, like, a pillowcase or something. You know, like, it's a basic square. And that's the thing, you'll see a pattern designer that made some, like, basic AF pattern, and then they see someone else with a similar pattern, they're like, so-and-so copied me. I'm like, in some cases, maybe very few, that may be the case, but I just don't think in the majority of these instances that the person really copied them. I think they just happen to have patterns that are kind of alike. All right. Love it when a content creator has a guest who happens to have a pattern, but you also need a special expensive ruler, but buy to your pattern and a $70 ruler. You know, and that's something, I think there's a lot of, like, very gimmicky products in the sewing and quilting world that I think are very overrated. Like, I bought my fair share of, like, tools, and then I'm like, I really didn't need this at all. Like, this was totally unnecessary. There are some that I genuinely find helpful, and then there are others that I just think are kind of a waste of money. So, but anyways, if you guys are tuning in, this is the show for unpopular opinions and your hot takes within the world of sewing. Can be anything. You can also ask questions. So this is kind of a free-for-all, but we're having a good evening here. We're going on about an hour and a half of streaming. And just also a quick shout out to today's live stream sponsor, the Sewing Report Etsy shop. Here, let's bring this up real quick. If you like these shows, you like the content over on the Sewing Report main channel, one way you can support independent media and independent content creation, where I normally don't even do sponsors or do any of that kind of nonsense. If you'd like to support my work, you can shop the Sewing Report Etsy shop. That's sewingreport.etsy.com. Even if you don't buy anything, go over there, favorite the shop, check it out. We've got fabric, we've got sewing supplies, I've got some handmade items, so lots of things here. Free shipping over $35, and I do ship within the United States. Lots of good items over there for all of your sewing needs. So check it out. That is just my quick plug for the Sewing Report Etsy shop, because I sponsor myself, so I can say whatever I want. I can talk critically at companies, and that's the thing. If I had a bunch of sponsors, like, I wouldn't have been able to do some of the shows or videos that I've done here. Let's be real. Jen, you have the right idea. Just have commercials. I hate that when I'm watching a YouTube channel and halfway through I realize the host is trying to sell something. Yeah, and again, not to throw shade, but I've seen some content creators, not just within sewing, but just in general, where I don't think they're doing enough to disclose their business affiliation. And here in the United States, there are Federal Trade Commission guidelines that influencers have to follow. And I'll bring this up, that they're supposed to disclose any type of business relationship, whether it be you got this for free, you got a discount, if you have any incentive to create that content, then you are supposed to be very clearly disclosing that everywhere. In the captions, like, you should have, like that. Here, I'll show you the FTC guidelines here. So let's see, FTC guidelines for influencers. And this is very like clear, you know. So if you are a content creator, this is something, if you're kind of new, this is something you are supposed to be doing. So if you can, you know, if this helps you, hopefully. But I've seen a lot of people not do this. Some of them, I think they just genuinely don't know. Others, I think they know exactly what they're doing. But this is kind of a big deal. And if you are a content creator, you're supposed to be doing all of these things. So it says disclosures 101 for social media influencers. So this is what the FTC says you have to be doing. And you can actually get fined or get in trouble with the FTC if you don't do these things. So you're supposed to disclose when you have a financial, employment, personal, or family relationship with a brand. You know, and that's the thing. Financial relationships aren't limited to money. Disclose the relationship if you got anything of value to mention a product. And that includes, like, if you're an affiliate, if you got a discount, like there's even some like murky waters, like if a restaurant gives you a discount or some sort of freebie to leave a review, like on Google reviews, that technically requires an FTC disclosure. So there's a lot of things that influencers are supposed to be doing that I don't see them doing, and that kind of bugs me as well. You know, like, and I don't see them making all of the disclaimers like when they should be doing that. So if you are a consumer of content or if you are an influencer yourself, this is something you should be aware of, because this is something that is required by the FTC in regards to just like business practices. All right, I'm going to get some water real quick here. All right. It seems like invisible zippers are being pushed by pattern companies and some content creators. This is something I have noticed. That's interesting. I have not personally noticed that. Yeah, I mean, I think, was it Rights? Like the Rights Notions, I think that might be owned by like, I feel like that might be owned by the pattern company or like whatever the parent company is, like Simplicity or whatever. I don't know, maybe there's something with that. I have no idea. Do you have any opinion about the Singer Memento machine? It's Singer's version of a Cricut. I saw it briefly on the website. I don't have an opinion on it. I don't own it. So I don't know. But I did notice that. Oh, by the way, guys. Yeah, the Singer pattern projector is now $2.99 on the Singer website. So this price is like dropping like a rock here. But yeah, I kind of noticed that on the website. They also have like a heat press. It's $699. It is 24 inches, so that is pretty wide. Yeah, I don't know. That's too expensive for me to test out. And like, what kind of software does it have? I don't know. Okay, is it Wi-Fi only? Okay, that kind of sucks. Don't like that. And like, what software do you need? Okay, oh, so you have to use like this MySonet thing? Okay. I think MySonet is like Singer's version of Artspira. Yeah, all right, this is first impressions. This is really overpriced. $700 for this thing? Yeah, no, I would go with the Silhouette. Like if I buy another cutting machine, I'm probably going to get a Silhouette. Wow, that's really expensive. Really expensive. Yeah, okay, so why? Yeah, all right, conspiracy theory time. Why is everyone pushing invisible zippers? That's interesting. Are they trying to sell more invisible zippers? I don't know. What's going on here? Guys, what's going on? What's going on? Sewists who don't press their seams, lazy. Pressing is sewing. If you don't want to press your seams, then don't bother making the garment. Okay, yeah. Sasha, there are way too many influencers advertising more on their sites than actually sewing. Unboxing this week, that week. When do they actually create? Yeah, I'm kind of over the sewing unboxing things, especially like everyone. I feel like I kind of did some of those in like the early days, like 2017, 2018. But these subscription boxes, like there's like so many of them now, and I don't accept, like I get emails all the time from companies trying to send me their box, and I just don't accept them at this point. I just don't do it. Okay, Husqvarna Viking. Okay, so my Sonet also does Husqvarna Viking. Okay, Carmen thinks Singer is garbage. That's definitely a hot take there. Woo! Carmen is on fire. Wow. Carmen. That's funny. Also, these dedicated content creators are so pressured on content that if they don't post every single week, it hurts them, which sucks for us all who like good educational or entertaining videos. Yeah, I agree with you. The algorithm and just the way all of these platforms work, yeah, it's like a hamster wheel of content. And if you jump off, it really, like, your account really suffers. So I get that. Invisible zippers are a swing from the exposed zipper that was popular. Sewists who don't finish their seams. I mean, it doesn't have to be a French seam, but at least put a pinking shear to it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Let's go sew with Joanne Banco. Fun conversation. I have to leave. Happy sewing to all. Oh, some of the influencers that do unboxings, they not even know how to sew. Okay, and here's another thing. So there is a push on like Instagram, they're on social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. So a lot of these like social media like gurus are pushing people and they're encouraging people to like grow accounts or grow like YouTube channels based on certain niches that these people aren't even in. So what's becoming popular on YouTube are these like faceless YouTube channels where they steal a bunch of like content they don't own and they do like video essays. And I've seen some of these do like sewing related videos or quilting related videos. And it's disingenuous because the person behind the channel is not actually involved or even interested in the sewing community. They just want to grow a channel to make money, and they're basically freebooting other people's content and just using chat. And they're literally, it's like, I've seen people encourage folks to do it. It's like, use Chat GPT to come up with scripts about such a topic, you know, use stock footage or steal other people's content, and then hire a voiceover artist to, you know, voice the video, and then voila, you get a 6-figure YouTube channel overnight, you know, blah, 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 you know, and it's like make content about anything. And the same thing is kind of happening with Instagram in regards to those accounts where you don't really know who's behind the account, but it's like best quilts of Instagram, and all they do is steal other people's pictures of quilts or videos of quilts. They rip the content, and then it's like an aggregate, like, it's like almost like an aggregate social media account. It's like best of quilting or best of sewing. And these people aren't actually involved in the sewing or quilting community. They're just trying to build a large account that they can monetize or sell or use for advertising. And they're doing it by stealing from other people. I really hate that shit. I don't follow those accounts. I will never support those. And I think those are like the trash scum of social media. If you want to grow a successful social media account, actually create your own content. Don't steal stuff from other people. And also don't try to like integrate yourself into communities you're not actually part of just to exploit them. I think that's like very sketchy and very scummy business behavior. Don't like that. All right. Oh, FAF is also my Sonet compatible. That's interesting. Sadly, Singer is owned by Husqvarna Viking, so why do they even bother? All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go, Lisa. Lisa's spilling the tea here. Anyone have a friend that decided they want to sew, and then they bug the heck out of you with so many questions? Like you, Jen, I've had people think I'm just on standby to be their teacher. Exactly. Like, and it's like, here's the thing. There are so many resources, so many free resources. There's information everywhere. There's Google. There's even Chat GPT. You can actually use Chat GPT to learn things. You really can, and that's free. And instead, they expect someone to be like their sewing concierge and hold their hand and spoon feed them every single freaking thing about sewing and about their sewing projects. It's like, and that's the thing, like, I've had people email me and I'm like, I don't know why you think a full-time sewing YouTuber would have hours of time to kill to, like, go back and forth with you or, like, help you with your specific sewing project. Like, that's the thing. I do these live shows. Anyone can come and ask questions, and these people don't show up there. And they also have never left comments on my videos. So that's the other thing that annoys me about people like that, is that they've never even, like, I don't recognize them from my streams or from even leaving comments. And it's like, they want you to help them, but they've never actually shown any support for you as a creator. So, like, that kind of bothers me. It's like, I think it's cool they're interested in sewing, but I think that's totally an inappropriate thing to do. And I think it's disrespectful. Not a fan. And I actually don't respond to those types of emails or DMs because I think it's rude to do to somebody. So, again, hot take. This is a show all for hot takes and unpopular opinions. So if you have an unpopular opinion or a hot take, this is the chance. Yeah. Some community colleges have sewing classes or do universities. One could be a guest student at a university. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, this person, these people, they could sign up for a sewing class. They could sign up for an online sewing class. They could Google. They could go on YouTube and search for sewing tutorials. Why aren't they doing that? Are these people so low effort that they expect other people to do the work for them for their quote-unquote sewing hobby? Like, that just boggles my mind that people think that other people are going to do that for them. Like, it's just, yeah. A friend went out and bought 2 expensive Bernitas. Oh boy. Oh boy. And, you know, people do that to me too with content creation. Like, and I've kind of learned to kind of low-key not really talk about what I do for a living or talk about sewing, because I will get bombarded with that type of thing. And I kind of have to, like, I just had to learn the hard way to, like, stop talking about it altogether. So I kind of had to stop that. Hate it. My neighbor keeps bugging me to make sweatpants for his wife. I don't even make sweatpants for myself. They cost $10. Yeah. And you know, I'm wearing sweatpants right now. You could just go to Target or go to Walmart and pick yourself up a pair of sweatpants. Or they want free alterations like right now. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's what YouTube is for. Exactly, Carmen. Someone already put up content on how to thread or whatever. Currently, I'm pulling apart a serger. I know I will screw this up, and someone has already filmed my solution. Exactly. Like, why are you hitting up the content creator one-on-one when you could go on YouTube and just search for what you need? Like, I just don't get it. I hate being asked to sew or fix something when people know I sew. No, right? Yeah. Where do I begin? It's called fabric, not material. Joanne sells garbage fabric. Sewing is worth more than minimum wage. Ooh. Nikki is on fire. And you know what? Here's the thing. These aren't even unpopular opinions. I would say they're hot takes, but yeah, I agree with you. This is just crazy. It's the amount of nonsense you have to deal with when people find out you sew. It's just like off the charts ridiculous. No is a complete sentence. I don't sew for anyone unless I choose to. Right? Yeah, you got that right. You got that right here. All right, I'm going to get some water real quick. All right, we're going to bring the music back here. We're going to start rocking out here. If you're just joining, or if you're late, you're watching on the replay, this is the show for your unpopular opinions and hot takes. Leave them in the chat, participate in the chat, or leave a comment down below if you're watching later on and let us know what your hot take or unpopular opinion is in regards to the world of sewing. I'm Jen with Sewing Report Live, and we are hanging out. We're having a low-key day, guys. I'm having like a horrible week for acne. So, yeah, hopefully you can't see it. I don't know how obvious it is, but It took me longer to do my makeup today because I had to like try to cover up all my acne. And that was not fun. I gotta say, it's not fun dealing with acne in your 40s. It really stinks. And I haven't eaten anything today, and I have only had 2 cups of coffee because our espresso machine died today as I was making my first cup. I might actually try it again just to see if it's like really dead. I'll try to make, I might make another attempt. But my husband thinks the espresso machine has kicked the bucket. So I ordered a new one, but it's not getting here until tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do, guys. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is one of the worst scenarios. Okay, yeah, you can't really see my acne too much. I used some concealer. But I got like these 2 huge breakouts on each cheek. So that was interesting. So we're hanging out. I'm in my sweats today. I haven't eaten all day. I gotta make a sandwich soon. I'm honestly really hungry. I might make another cup of coffee after the show is over. We will see. Okay, no, we actually don't have any ground stuck under it. So, to be fair though, this machine was only like $90. And we've had it for, actually, let me see when we bought it. We bought the espresso. I think I might be able to look up when we purchased it. This machine is at least 7 years old, and we use it every day. So, I think a lifespan of 7 years for an espresso machine is not bad, especially one that was under $100. So, I'm not going to be mad at DeLonghi because, like, that's a pretty good lifespan for what's basically a coffee maker. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I think I ordered it with our other account or with my husband's account. But, I mean, we've had this espresso machine for at least 7 years. Maybe we might have bought it in 2016. So we've had it for a very long time. Okay, so to be fair on both sides, as someone who is new, I do watch YouTube and try to learn. But then I hear a lot of YouTube people are doing it wrong and they aren't experts. So how would a new person learn? Here's where I think a lot of confusion comes through is because that's the thing. If you're new to sewing, it's a little bit difficult because you literally have no idea if something is right or not. And that's where I think some of the people who are making like how-to and educational content, I think they mean well. But sometimes I'm like, okay, like they might not know they're doing it wrong, but like I also kind of know if I've only been sewing for 2 months, should I really be making educational content? Probably not. Like, that's where I do think, and I also think it's on the new sewist to kind of do some research and have some critical thinking skills and discernment into like who might be a more credible sewing like teacher. And that's something that you have to, again, it requires critical thinking skills. But that's the thing, when I see a how-to video and I see that they've only, like I see in their bio, like I just started sewing last year, I'm like, okay, if I see someone like, hey, I went to, I owned a bridal shop for 10 years. I actually have formal training in fashion design and I went to like sewing school. I'd be like, okay, this person's legit. And I do think that's part of the problem is that, with just anyone making content, it can be hard for someone without sewing experience to really be able to determine who actually knows what they're talking about and who is not. So it is very confusing. And I do think we have some issues in that. And I think that's a problem in any space. And you get like the older people, like the more experienced people being like, oh my gosh, there is some gatekeeping. And I do think that's kind of crappy too. But at the same time, if I just started sewing last week and I started making how-to videos, like I kind of know I'm full of shit. You know what I mean? Like I also see the same thing happen with YouTube, like the YouTube guru space. If I see someone claiming to be a YouTube expert, they've got 500 subscribers in 2 videos. I'm like, should you really be making videos telling other people how to succeed on YouTube if you clearly don't have that type of expertise yourself? So I also think it's part of it is on the consumer to kind of vet these people, you know, and again, I know that can be, you know, kind of difficult, but at the same time, I'm like, some things kind of seem obvious, you know what I'm saying here? Some things seem a little obvious. Here's another one. Why are pattern makers expected to offer a pattern, video, projector, and SVG files all for $10? You know, hey, that's fair. That's fair, you know. All right, I say I'm not as good as you think I am. All right, I like that line. I might use that when someone asks me to alter their clothes for free. All right, and thank you for joining us, Daxy Dog. Although it's funny, your name is Daxy Dog, and you have a photo of a cat. That's kind of fun. But thank you for tuning in and for contributing to the conversation. We're having some fun here. If you want people to stop bugging you about hemming pants or alterations, just tell them you charge $100 an hour. Then wait for the rude comments like that cost more for what I paid for the garment. All right, Lisa. Thank you. High five. High five. People who whine about not getting rectangular shaped pattern pieces because they can't be bothered to measure a rectangle. Then say it's not a real pattern when said pattern came with instructions. Yeah, like, it's like, do you really need a template to be able to like make a rectangle? Like, if they give measurements, I think that's fine. Like, yeah, it's the thing, you don't really need a template, a pattern template for like a square or rectangle. Like, you really like don't. Like, if you're like, you know, cut a rectangle that's 6 by 8, like that seems pretty simple. Yeah, you know what? I'm Kira, I'm trying to change. You know, I put heavy cream in my coffee. But then I tried a few days without it, and I didn't really notice the difference. I'm not really sure what's going on. I've dealt with adult acne for a long time. It's nothing new. Yeah. I'm with Lisa. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we should all start telling people we charge $100 an hour for sewing skills and see what happens. Okay, here we go. The machine has a manual. The manufacturer puts up videos and manuals. Go to a sewing machine store and take a class. I'm not anti-help, just anti-hand-holding. Bravo, Carbon. Yes, exactly. Like, I'm all for helping people out, but, you know, I try to make videos over on the main Sewing Report channel to try to help help people at scale. Like, I can't do one-on-one stuff with people, and I try to make that clear. I've also had to put in a very large verbal and written disclaimer in all of my embroidery machine videos, telling people not to reach out to me for help with their machine, because I keep getting people doing that, and I'm like, I don't know why you think I would be your like personal one-on-one sewing machine tech. Like, get out of town, guys. Like, that's just not reasonable. And I do find a lot of people are demanding hand-holding and not being able to even look up stuff on their own or like do basic research, and that kind of drives me crazy. Jen, you need food and coffee. I do. I really do. Alright, well, to start, begin with a simple pattern like an A-line skirt. Get a good sewing book like Reader's Digest sewing book. Then try a more advanced pattern like a t-shirt. Yeah, and here's my other unpopular opinion. Guys, if you're just starting out and this is like your first sewing project, don't have your first project be like a ball gown or something. Like start simple. If you start off with something that's like way more than you could handle, you're probably not gonna get a good result. You know, and it's not gonna turn out like you want, you know. Yeah, some people just need to try to use their brain. You know, this is fun. I think we're gonna have we should do more unpopular opinions, because this is like kind of a venting session or kind of like a rant session. Like, this is kind of like, yeah, I like this. This is fun. We're having fun here. Yeah, let's start telling people $100, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this was $5 from Walmart. You're not going to alter this for free? Yeah. When asked to bend sew for others, no, but here's the number for the local tailor. Yeah, good choice. Singer machines have been hot garbage for years. Oh boy. See, and guys, this is why I really can't do a lot of sponsors on this channel. Just because, again, this is not advertiser-friendly content. You know, yeah. Yeah. On the fill, yep. Alright, my favorite is, can you hem my wedding dress? Well, if I mess it up, will you be okay with knee-length skirt? Go to a bridal expert. Ooh, I like this, Rebecca. When asked to instruct, no, but I recommend these resources. Insert YouTube channels, books, etc. Here's the thing, Rebecca, and we all know, they ain't looking that up. They're, like, you'll send them a bunch of resources or books, recommendations, and those same people will not, they won't look at any of them, you know? They're not going to do any of that. Yeah, unfortunately, they don't want to start simple. Then they realize their project was hard, and then they give up on sewing. That happens. Yeah, Kira, that happens so often. Yeah, that happens a lot. All right, so does everybody think modern Singer machines are just not very good? Is that kind of a general consensus here? Yeah, this is fun. Yeah, we'll definitely... This is kind of my, like, I don't give an F show. Let's just do whatever. And there wasn't a lot going on in terms of, like, sewing industry news. So I was like, this could be kind of a fun thing. And I'm in my, like, you know, I'm just here. I'm here chilling in my, my sweatshirt here. We're hanging out. I'm very tired. And I've not had enough coffee because our espresso machine broke. Yeah. Exactly. It can be hard because they don't know what you're going through. Yeah. Oh gosh, the wedding dress alterations question, please. That would be $500 an hour. Yep. Go to a thrift store and buy a flat sheet and cut it into pieces. And practice sewing on your machine to get used to it or to adjust thread tension. And here's the thing, I've noticed a lot of people don't want to troubleshoot or they don't even know how. So I'll try to do videos like, here's how you can troubleshoot. And then people are still like, I have this very specific situation. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know what you're going through because I'm not there with you. And I'm not spending hours FaceTiming with you to figure it out. Like, that's just not going to happen. Our local sewing store gives lessons a couple of times a year. Maybe somebody wants to learn to look into that. And here's the thing. A lot of these low effort people, they just don't, they don't want to do that, you know? It's sad. Okay, so... people generally don't think modern Singer machines are very good. That's sort of the gist I'm getting. All right, they won't look at the recommended resources, but when they ask me again, I ask them what they have done to educate themselves. Stops them cold every time. Yep. Isn't that like always? That's like always the case. Like that's pretty much always what happens. I gift brother sewing machines, about $120 machines. If they give up and go in closet, then so be it. Singer isn't worth holding my papers on my desk. Okay, ooh. Shout out to Singer. I guess they're not going to be a sponsor here at Sewing Report Live, that's for sure. That's for sure. A friend of my son wanted me to do her wedding dress, and I gave her the names of 2 local dressmaking shops. I'm not sure she was impressed. Hey, you're keeping it real, though. Machines now are plastic, too scary because you can break it. The old ones that were metal are nicer to fix. Yep. That's very true, guys. All right, guys, we got about 80 viewers. I really appreciate everyone here. We're having fun. This is a show for your unpopular sewing opinions and hot takes. So, if you got an opinion, strong ones, whatever, this is the show for you. All right, Lisa, you have a slightly different opinion. I think the Singer Heavy Duty is pretty good and affordable. My sister bought one, and it's a good little machine. And she's got the dough to buy a 10K Bernina. Be practical, people. You know, I've been very curious about the Singer Heavy Duties myself. I haven't pulled the trigger on it, but I am. Like, the reviews on Amazon are all very positive. Like, there's thousands of them. So I'm like, maybe this is okay. I don't know. You know? Modern Singers have plastic gears. The modern machines are made mostly from plastic. The machines are not made to last. Yeah, it's true. That's true. Oh my gosh, Nikki. Yes, and this is all over. This is like the same story on Reddit too. And I actually will get people emailing and DMing me, asking me to tell them what sewing machine to buy. I'm like, guys, I hate it when every Facebook sewing group has a post every single day asking for sewing machine recommendations. Can you not search the group posts? No, they can't, Nikki, because that would be too much work for them. And they don't want to put any level of effort into freaking anything. That's the problem. That's a big part of the problem. Yeah. There's a YouTuber named Glory Allen out of Toronto that recommends the Singer Heavy Duty. Well, I know, and my friend Jack Sews, he has the Singer Heavy Duty as well. Maybe that's one I'll buy to test out. I don't know, maybe we'll do it. But yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't seem like it's that heavy duty. Like, that's the thing. That's the reviews I've seen. Like, they're like, it's an okay machine, but it's not like really heavy duty. Sewing swaps are too dramatic. Ooh. Hot take from Susie M here. Guys, this is, all right. I'm glad we did this. This is exactly what I needed today. Like, for real. This is hilarious. We're having a great time. We're having a great time here. Ooh, all machines basically do the same thing. Lisa. Don't tell the sewing machine dealers that. Don't tell the sewing machine dealers or the people with the $10,000 Bernina. And I'll say, I've seen some of the Bernina snobs out there, and I'm like, they think that if you're not using a $10,000 Bernina, you're not like a real sewist or something. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you then. Because I've been sewing for years, and I've never bought a $10,000 Bernina. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't make recommendations. When asked for sewing machine recommendations, that's like asking me for a recommendation for a bra. So many things go into that decision. Exactly. Like, I don't make recommendations on the channel at all. Like, I try to give people information. Like when I'm reviewing the Brother Sketch, I'll tell people what I like or what I don't like about it. But I'm not going to say, like, don't buy this or absolutely buy this, because it's just a very highly personal decision, and it's going to be different for everybody. So I don't like these blanket statements about sewing machines, because, you know, you just don't know. Yep. Singers are sold over and over to companies that don't know what to do with the sewing machine company, almost like a certain fabric retailer who gets bought by a finance group who doesn't sew. Yep. I'd need an OnlyFans to afford a 10K Bernina. You know, I wonder if I did a sewing OnlyFans, would anyone sign up if I, like, wasn't doing, like, you know, sexy content? You know what I mean? Like, if it was an OnlyFans and all it was, like, IRL sewing streams or something, would I get people signing up? You know, I don't know. I don't really want to be on OnlyFans. It's not really my cup of tea, but that'd be kind of funny. Okay. Ooh. As a 75-year-old viewer who has tons of sewing machines, the last two singers I purchased within the last 20 years broke down years ago. Okay, so not an endorsement for Singer there. Guess where Berninas are made? Thailand. Engineered in Switzerland, but made in Thailand. Same with Pfaff and Bernina. 10K machine is if I wanted to do it as a business, and even then it's not industrial. If you want it and can buy it, more power to you. Still plastic. Yeah, I think we all needed this, guys. Like, this is fun. It's a Sunday night. We're chilling. I hope you have a beverage or a snack or your food, or you're working on a sewing project. And, you know, we're just chilling, you know? Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing, though. Twitch, I feel like Twitch just had some kind of anti-creator policies recently. I'm not real sold on Twitch. I stream there, but I'm not investing in Twitch stuff. So, I don't know. All right, we're going 2 hours strong, and you guys are hot with your opinion. You know, I actually do really like my Janome. I have a Janome MemoryCraft 7700 that I got years ago. I paid $2,500, and I think my mistake is that I bought too much machine for me. It's a really nice machine. I just don't think I needed that much machine, and I think I should have gone for something probably half the price, if I'm being real. Ooh, I needed it when I pulled the Demon Surger apart. All right. The top of the line Bernina tops out at 16.5K. Not even. Ooh. Yeah, I like my Janomes. I think Janome overall, you know, they make decent machines. I don't think their prices are crazy for a lot of the entry-level models. You know, and I'm actually kind of curious to try a more entry-level Janome because I only have the 7700. But they do make some, like, under $200, and I'm very... You know, guys, I would like to buy another entry-level machine to do some videos with. Let me know in the chat or in the comments which machine would you like to see me maybe feature, you know. Like, I did the Brother CS7000i. It's been discontinued, so I might actually try to, like, rehome that machine and try one that's, like, more readily available. When I'm featuring machines, I like to do machines that are, you know, widely available and accessible. There are very similar machines to that Brother, so I do think the content is still helpful because a lot of the Brothers are very similar. But I would like to try another just entry-level machine that I haven't tried before. So if you have any recommendations or suggestions for a machine that you would like to see me do a bunch of videos on, let me know. Let me know. All right, Janome 3160, very cool. I have a Singer Serger, and I think I need a mechanical engineering degree to rethread it. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, so maybe I'll get a Singer heavy duty. Like, I don't know. Like, they're not very expensive, so I would feel comfortable buying one. I just need to, like, offload some of my current machines so that I have room for it. That's the problem, is that it's not just the money. It's just that the sewing machines take up so much space, you know. So I kind of need to rehome my Brother PE800. I don't think I'll probably be making a lot more videos with it. And I probably need to rehome the Brother CS7000i. So I might try to do that first. But the Singer Heavy Duty would be kind of interesting to try. But if they print Heavy Duty on it, it must be true. Oh boy. That's funny. Nikki, you're funny. Nikki's on a roll tonight. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, years ago, Threads Magazine did a story on how to pick a sewing machine. And one of the points was buy the most machine you can afford. I disagree. If you lose interest, then it's $2,500 in the closet. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I kind of took that advice and, you know, it was wrong. So it was, especially if you don't know if you're really going to get into sewing. Yeah, it's true. You know, I could just get a used machine really cheap instead of buying it new. That's a good point. 5-thread industrial overlock machines can also be used for straight stitching by only using one needle, and don't thread the loopers. Good point there. I realized recently that my habit of renaming my machines was unusual. Oh boy, that's funny, Rebecca. Yeah, a lot of people do name their machines. I've seen, like, especially like bloggers I've seen. I don't have names for any of my machines. Maybe I'm just not that creative or something. I don't know. It's just not something I've done. That's why trying used is a good way to start or dip your toe in the water. Good point. I think if you're getting into it, buying a used machine that works is a great way to do it, and you're not spending a lot of money to buy a machine that you don't really know if you're going to use or not. I think that's a really good point. To be fair, I also name my cars. Fun times. All right, guys. We've had a good time here. We've had a good time. We've had a lot of hot takes, a lot of unpopular opinions. And I do want to get to our reoccurring segment here. All right, let's do a little drum roll here for oh yeah, we're going to do K-Drama Corner because I have it's not a new K-drama, but it's one I just started watching like last week. And guys, this show is honestly really good so far, and I was not expecting it. So if you're new here, I'm a big K-drama stan. That's Korean dramas. I think, you know, hot take here, I think most Western entertainment is trash. And I have transitioned, I have converted to mostly watching K-dramas. So the K-drama that I'm watching tonight, or watching lately, is called From Now On Showtime. Now, I'm a pretty hardcore K-drama fan, so I have a subscription to a streaming platform that's just all Asian programming called Viki, Viki. You got to be kind of hardcore. It's like $99 a year or like $10 a month. And they do have some like free, quote unquote, free shows you can watch. But the caveat is that there's so many ads on the free shows that it's so obnoxious that you're going to go crazy if you don't pay for a subscription. So I paid for, I think they also have a basic subscription. But my issue with that is that you don't get access to all of the titles. So I sprung again. I was sort of like away, I took a break from Viki for a while because there are K-dramas on other platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime. I took a break from Netflix, so now I decided to go back to Viki. And I'm not sad because there are some really amazing shows on Viki. And this one is called From Now On Showtime. And I'll be honest, I was like, kind of put, like all of the shows have sort of like a thumbnail. And the thumbnail and the title, I was like, that doesn't seem, it doesn't seem very appealing. Boy, was I wrong, because this show is amazing. And I'm about halfway through, and so far, I would give it a 9. I'm enjoying the show. So you're like, what the heck is this about, Jen? And by the way, if you have not gotten into K-dramas, I can't recommend them enough. It's missing everything. It's got everything that I feel like American entertainment is missing. They have good storylines. There's not a lot, it's actually original ideas. Everything, I feel like everything in America is now, in Hollywood, is now like a freaking reboot. So this is not a reboot. This is an original idea. Imagine that. And it's got 16 episodes, and Korean shows don't typically do multiple seasons. So it's basically like watching a really long movie that gets to flesh out the story, and you don't have to worry about watching like 18 seasons. The vast majority of Korean TV series are only one season, and they're typically 12 to 16 episodes. So this is sort of like a rom-com. It's supernatural. It's got fantasy, and like many K-dramas, it has a serial killer storyline because they got to have a serial killer in every show. So this is called, all right, so all right, let me read the synopsis. It's called Cha Cha Woong is a popular, if somewhat sardonic, stage and TV magician with a taste for the spectacular. His tricks dazzle audiences, but little do most people know, he has a gang of secret employees. In fact, these are no ordinary magician's assistants. They are actually ghosts, and yeah, that's for real. But Cha Cha Woong is not afraid of beings from the spirit realm. In fact, he treats them as members of staff, and they in turn believe him to be their boss. One day his path crosses with that of Gosule. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's like Gosule, a young, passionate police officer who can also see ghosts. Actually, she really can't, so I don't really know why they put that in there, but is afraid of her abilities. He attempts to brush her off when she investigates an incident connected to one of his magic shows, but she soon realizes that the magician's unusual abilities could be the perfect crime-fighting tool. She manages to convince him to join the police force in its effort to catch fiendish criminals and uses ghostly employees to help foil evil masterminds. But in the course of their unorthodox partnership, could romance also make an appearance on the scene? Yeah. So this is, so far, guys, I'm loving this show. This is a great, this is an unexpected hit for me. I was like, I have seen this, I've scrolled by this one for a while, and I'm like, I don't know if this is, I feel like the thumbnail looked very, old-timey to me, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. I was so wrong. This is, depending on how the last half of the show goes, this might be one of my favorites. This is a really good one. So, this guy, kind of picture one of our pop culture magicians like David Copperfield or something. Or Chris Angel. He's sort of like that kind of guy. He's very, he has a very big ego. And he's very into he's very into money and success and fame. He loves being famous. He loves money. He's rich. He's successful. But the thing is, he's not actually a real magician. He has like this like generational ability to see and communicate with ghosts. And he basically has used that to his advantage. He's kind of monetized his supernatural ability to make money by having people think he's an amazing magician when he's not actually a magician. He just uses ghosts behind the scenes to like do all of the quote unquote magic. People think it's cool. They're like, oh my gosh, how he did this. How did he do this? It's only because he has all of these ghosts do all of these optical illusions. And you're like, how did the ghosts work for him? So in this show, and happens in a lot of Korean TV shows, a lot of the ghosts, they can't move on to like the afterlife if they have like unresolved issues. So these particular ghosts, he has 3 ghost employees. So the ghost employees are great. There's like an older man who I'm not really sure what his job used to be, but he's like an older, very like nice man. There's kind of a middle-aged guy, and he used to be a gangster. So that actually comes in handy because they're like interacting with criminals on this show. So the gangster kind of knows like how that world works. So he's often able to be of help because he used to be a criminal himself. And then there's like this like young Gen Z ghost named Arum. She's got like purple hair, like kind of purple hair. And she's like the tech computer hacker, like tech savvy chick. And she's like really awesome. So she ends up doing a lot of like, she's sort of like the computer IT person. And all of them work together behind the scenes to create these like magic shows. And he pays them. So like some of them have like family members who are still alive. So he will actually give the money that these ghosts earn, because this guy earns a lot of money from being a famous magician. And he gives the money to like their families, or in the case of Aram, the tech savvy ghost, she is addicted to gaming and like technology products. So he buys all of her like phones, and like he pays for all of her like, she buys a lot of online games. So in exchange for working for him, he buys all of her tech stuff. So that's actually a really kind of funny aspect. So the magician, Mr. Cha or Cha Woong, he encounters this police officer who's a female police officer. And her backstory is that her father was murdered 10 years ago by, of course, a serial killer. It wouldn't be a K-drama if it didn't have a serial killer. They somehow find a way to insert a serial killer into like just about every show. There's also a reincarnation storyline between the 2 main characters. That's a super common thing as well in these shows. Like, it's even if it's like a funny rom-com, there will be a serial killer on the loose, and then the 2 main characters are reincarnated from the past. That's like pretty much every show. It's comical, and there's a lot of product placement in all of these shows, so that's kind of funny too. So the police officer crosses paths with him kind of randomly, and then finds out his secret of all of the ghosts. So now she's like in on it. And she sort of convinces him to work with her and help her solve crimes, because he has like these ghosts that can do things that people can't. And they end up helping to solve crimes. The other advantage they have is that like they'll be solving a murder, and the victim's ghost is able to communicate with the main guy. So they're able to like say who killed them or like what actually happened. So they end up closing a lot of cases because the ghost is able to tell this guy what happened to them and like what actually really went down. So they're like, they know who the perpetrator was, or they know what happened. And the ghosts have these unresolved issues. It's like, until we catch the killer. There's even a dog ghost in this thing, and I'm like, that's kind of wild. And the dog ghost helps. The dog ghost is actually murdered, and they're able to like give him justice and like put the dog ghost at peace, so that the dog can move on to like heaven or whatever. So it's a very like weird show. It's got a very odd premise, but it's actually a really good show, and I was not expecting to like it at all. And the reincarnation storyline, like, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, okay, they actually kind of wrote it in a way where it's not cringe, and it just sort of makes the storyline interesting. And it turns out the main characters also have a connection through the guy's grandfather, and then the main character's father. So her father was a detective who was murdered, and it turns out the main character's grandfather and then her father also have a connection with the serial killer and with them. So I kind of like the writing. I think the storyline is interesting. It's got my attention, and the characters are pretty good. So I would say so far, I would give this show, I would give this show a 9. It's called From Now on Showtime. And I actually think this is one of the better shows. This is one of the better shows I've seen lately. The lead actor is named Park Hae-jin. If you're into the eye candy, this is definitely a show for you. He's a very good-looking dude, and he's been in a bunch of different shows. I have not seen Conde Intern, but I'm interested in watching that. He was in this show called Man to Man, which I loved. It was very cheesy, and it had some cringe, but his character in the Man to Man show was also very good. Oh, and he was in My Love from the Star, which is a good show. I've never really heard of Snow is on the Sea. So this actor, Park Hae-jin, is in it, and he's really great. I love his, I think he's a great actor, and he does comedy well, he does drama well, and the lead actress, Jinky Ju, I was not familiar with her, but she's very good too, and I think she's good. I didn't realize she was in this Happy Once Again show. I don't even know what her character is. So she's been in some stuff too, and she had a cameo in another show I watched called Shooting Stars, and she was really funny in that. She played a talent manager for an entertainment company. So really good shows, and I think K-dramas have a lot to offer, and I think they're very underrated. So I try to get the word out and promote the hell out of K-dramas just because I have an ulterior motive to do so, because I like watching them, and I want to see more K-dramas come to mainstream streaming services. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Alrighty, here we go. We got a lot of good comments tonight. Great. We've had a lot of good time. We've had a good time here. This is a show for hot takes and unpopular opinions. On the rare occasion that I teach someone to sew, I always tell them if they are happy with the result, then you did a good job. Perfection doesn't always need to be the goal. That's a good thing to bring up, and it's like, if you're happy with it, then that's what matters, So I think that's a good bar of what is sewing success, and what does that look like for you. So I think that's a good thing to bring up here. So thank you for that comment. All right, let's take a look here. All right, I don't name my machines. Who cares? Naming machines sounds too foo-foo. Okay, that's funny. My favorite machine is my Janome QC 1600P. I have several, but I do use them a lot. Great discussion. Gotta run. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us, Karen. I know you probably have peaced out by now, but I appreciate you. It's never occurred to me to name a sewing machine. Exactly, Susie. Agree. Western entertainment is mostly trash. A few gems in the rough, but mostly mass-produced junk. Susie, you got to check out the K-dramas. There are quite a few on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Netflix, I think Business Proposal was good. Crash Landing on You. I'm trying to think what else. Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha. Queen of Tears. Lots of really great K-dramas that are exclusive to Netflix. Amazon Prime. True to Love was good. Marry My Husband was good. There's So I Married the Anti-Fan. There's a lot of really good ones on Amazon Prime. Marriage Not Dating is on Amazon Prime. So if you are new to K-dramas, there's a lot to offer here. I do watch scripted TV, but I'll hear you. Okay, here's the thing, Nikki. These shows are, they're just different, They're fun. They're really fun to watch. I just enjoy them. Yeah, K-dramas are great, K-dramas are great. Only have YouTube TV. I'm wondering if there are some. I don't know if there are some on YouTube TV, but there might be. I don't have YouTube TV, but there may be some. I totally agree with you on Western TV. I now only watch Turkish. Yeah, I'm just not loving a lot of the stuff that's coming out of Hollywood or the regular entertainment industry here. I just don't find it to be that, there's not a lot of creativity. Everything's kind of the same old thing. I don't know. I'm kind of annoyed, you know. Turkish drama. So where do you watch the Turkish dramas at? I mostly watch C dramas and some K dramas. I'm also, oh right, we got another Vicky subscriber in the house. I am currently watching Love and Redemption. I agree that American television and movies are garbage today. It's like, why can't we make, like, they spend millions of dollars on these big budget productions and they're not even that good. Like, that's what I don't get. You have all this money and you have all this, you know, star power and talent, and you can't even produce a good movie or a good TV show. And it's almost like Hollywood is afraid to take risks, so everything is a reboot. It's like I keep getting recommended the, like, what was it, the Roadhouse reboot? Now, I've never even seen the original, but I'm like, no thanks. I'm just not interested. Just not interested. Gotta run. Great live stream. Have a great night. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. And thank you, Sprint Car Lady. Thank you, everyone, for a fun stream. All right, guys, I'm probably going to sign off as well because I'm going to make some food. Maybe get another cup of coffee and get a sandwich. But I really appreciate everyone weighing in. If you are watching on the replay crew, let me know down in the comments if you have any hot takes or unpopular opinions about anything related to sewing or social media. I'm Jen with Sewing Report Live. We've been having a lot of fun. We do this every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Come join in. You can ask any questions. You can chat. This is our space just to have a good time and talk about different things that are happening. You can also check out the Sewing Report main channel. You can also leave a super sticker or a super thanks if you appreciate super chats if you're watching live. And shop sewingreport.etsy.com if you would like to support what we do here. I really appreciate everyone. Yes, I am so hungry right now. But I'm Jen with Sewing Report Live. I'll see you guys again in the next one. And remember, whatever you're doing, make it fun.